All right, well, I guess we'll start to transition over to Superman and Lois season 3 finale, which was called What Kills You Only Makes You Stronger. It's directed by Gregory Smith, written by Brent Fletcher and my boy Todd Helbing. It premiered June 27th, 2023. And yeah, I guess we can dive into it. It's supposed to take place 32 days after the previous episode with some flashbacks as we start to see Lex and what his plan was for Bizarro. So I asked you last week, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, what is Lex's plan for Bizarro? We had no clue that this show was going to pull off what I think is the most unique take on Doomsday and pay off the season 2 episode where Bizarro appeared with his hand out of the ground like a Doomsday cover, and
In the containment suit.
now it's not a fake out. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
real. Like, man, if they really had it planned since then, I am just shocked.
Well, they really did a good job of giving us what they promised. It was almost like a double fake out. And I really appreciated that, you got me excited about Doomsday. We didn't get Doomsday and then we got it. I thought the scene where they were making him Doomsday was so it felt Game of Thrones to me. It was like, oh God, we are going there. And I'll tell you, this was just a gripping episode. Gripped to the edge of my seat. Unbelievable. And the title, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. Boy, they weren't kidding. They were not kidding.
Yeah, it's actually what kills you makes you stronger, and that we were wondering if that was a Lois thing, right? With
Hmm.
cancer or something like that. What it actually turns out to be is every time Bizarro dies, he comes back even stronger, which I thought was an interesting twist there. But I don't know. I saw some complaints, of course, online that the irons didn't help out. I mean, Clark clearly tells them to not. He like puts his hand up, like don't. So let him handle it, type of thing. I think that is perfectly fine. um, and
I
in
thought they
fact,
were.
go ahead.
I thought they were going Death of Superman. I was like,
Me
they're going to
too.
end it Death of Superman because it's right at the end of the episode. So I'm literally just going, oh no, no, they're not doing this to me. No, they're not doing this to me. And yeah, just unbelievable. It was unbelievable, man.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is the cliffhanger. So the cliffhanger is, of course, those two flying towards each other on the moon, and it stops. So I can understand why they say it's a brutal cliffhanger, because I wouldn't even say it's a cliffhanger as much as it is a stop in the middle of a scene. Like cliffhangers sometimes are like that, but some cliffhangers are like more of a different type of thing. I think it is weird that they did it in the middle of the scene, but I will say, like the middle of the fight, the more basic route to go here that I'm glad they kind of avoid it is killing him off in the last 5 minutes and then leaving that as the cliffhanger. I do like it better that we know he's alive right now. He's facing off Doomsday, and we will know at some point when season 4 premieres that uh, that this fight will be finished. Now, I do want to say I don't like this cliffhanger if they didn't get renewed. This is the type of cliffhanger I was trying to avoid when I was saying, like I hope they don't end it on a cliffhanger where it's just like in the middle of something that does this. I mean, it's close to what I would want with an end of the show, meaning like Superman is still saving the day, but I don't want it in the middle of a battle. And
Hmm.
if this show is canceled, you would just have to make up the rest yourself. Like, okay, he probably dies there. They do Death of Superman, and then he comes back, and woo, that's the end of the series. So it makes me wonder, Chris, where do you see the series going? Are they going to kill him off in the premiere, or is he going to defeat Doomsday and there is no death of Superman? What's your thoughts there?
Well, I think this show never gives you exactly what you think you're going to get because we were just talking about how we thought it was going to be Death of Superman. They were going to kill him off, and that was going to be the cliffhanger. And I think they're going to tease Death of Superman and make you think that. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to end up winning, and it's going to be Superman versus Lex Luthor after he ends up winning. I saw someone bring up the Phantom Zone on Twitter that maybe Doomsday to the Phantom Zone is the way. But does Clark even know how to do that? Is there technology to get him there on the moon? That's interesting. I thought the scene where he gets him on the spike of the building was just so damn good. And it was almost shocking because Superman is just like being brutal as all daylight. And then he gets up. It's just that they put every cent into that. You know, we talked a lot about CGI lately. This was beautiful. This was absolutely awesome superhero stuff.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I will say the two things I didn't really care for is the music choices during the Bizarro death and the Bizarro battle.
Not a Soundgarden guy?
No,
All right.
I was hoping more for like a nice score, like a triumphant Superman score battle type thing. But
I think they were going for a mood.
yeah, they were going for like metal. Oh, are we getting the death metal?
No, it was more. It was
DC Crisis.
grungy. It was
Yeah, yeah.
grungy. That's
Um, yeah, so that's how it fully ended here. But I do like how they kind of went with all of the other characters. Now, so if Sam doesn't come back for at least one episode, we have some problems because he's last seen getting tased, and Dylan Walsh may not return next season at all. They really wanted at least 7 episodes of the 10 to be able to move up to Vancouver. So I don't know. Maybe he can show up for a week to film the premiere and at least get him to safety and he can move. Um, I called the girlfriend being a double agent. I was kind of like, I don't like her. I
it was
suspect
a
her.
little too happy.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah, it's
was.
like this is a little too smoochy. There's something going on there. And anytime they make it part of the story that strong, it's because they're setting something up. It's like TV shows always do that. But I think the if he doesn't show up, it's very simple. Lois just gets a phone call. It's like, oh, he's safe. Thank goodness. Okay. And that's kind of how they would wrap it up if they don't get him back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They could either kill him or they can say, "We got Grandpa to safety. He's gonna be in hiding for the foreseeable future
With Sophie.
with Sophie." Yes. I do think we'll see like the irons and stuff. Though they were already setting up him potentially moving away as well. So they could just go with that if they can't get Wool Parks back. They can say that he took the job in Metropolis for the DoD and is working on stuff and had to leave. I mean, they really set that up pretty well, and this is before they knew they were canceled. So I wondered where they were kind of going with this. If they hadn't been, if they had been renewed as a normal thing, let's say without the restrictions, without the lower budget, I do wonder what the plan would have been for John Henry Irons and Natalie. But I gotta give it up to Chrissy and Kyle. I really like their storyline. I've really enjoyed them. Um, they're gonna get married. They have a baby coming on the way, apparently. And I don't know. I like that Lana didn't freak out about it. I mean, I think she was a little bit more hurt by the public proposal, but with the baby, she was like, "No, I'm happy for you," and like it wasn't this big drama event.
Yeah, I thought she was overcompensating a bit when she's like, "Let me spoil this kid rotted." I was like, that bit was a little bit weird, but I thought she handled it really well, and I do think the public uh, engagement was harder for her. Her and John Henry Irons, it seems like they had been going on that road for a long time, and they barely even nibbled at it after they set it up. So I'm glad they went there, but she's moving to Metropolis too, probably. So but can the mayor just get up and move though?
I was
Interesting.
kind of wondering that too. I was like, she can't move yet, right? Because she's the mayor. So I was kind of wondering if that meant he would have to commute for her, or are they gonna put a pause on it? Like, that's kind of where I felt like maybe they were gonna go with it.
So
Is
I
like
thought it was an
a
oversight in the
pause.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the first time I think we're getting no, we've had finales like this before. I was gonna say where we kind of get where it's gonna pick up right away because we had that when Nat arrived at the end of season one. They picked up right there, right at season two for at least a scene, and then they faded out. So I do wonder how this is going to go for this season coming up. Whenever the strikes are done and we can actually get to work on this and get it aired probably next summer or next spring, but kind of really wondering where they're going to go with this for some of these characters like John, now that maybe they can only get John Henry for 3 to 4, right? Where they go with Kyle. Kyle and Chrissy are kind of becoming big members of the show. Chrissy is one of Lois's confidants and one of Clark's confidants, right? And she's going to have to become a recurring character, maybe a guest star. I really wonder where they're going to go with the Lex thing. Lex, it really is a little upset, right? I put little, I guess, but he's very upset that Lois put him away without listening to him, saying that it wasn't him that did it. But I mean, in her eyes, she had proof, right? Like she had no clue that Pia was the one doing all this 16 years ago. So, you know, that's Lex's point of view. Lex is like, hey, you could have listened to me. I told you the truth, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm going to end up killing everybody you like, pretty much. I'm going to kill Superman. I'm going to take your dad. And now there's nobody to protect you. And now I can get you. And I do think most of this storyline in season 4 is going to be the Lex, Lois, Superman story here, which I'm very excited for because I think Lex has been such a good presence in the show these last few episodes.
Oh, it hits with me. It totally hits with me. He's so downright evil. He's so sinister, and I love how pathological he is because he's obviously not innocent, but he's innocent on that thing, and the fact that that mattered so much to him. I mean, you could a rational person would probably be like, you know what, I'm innocent of this, but I'm not an innocent person. Oh well. He is obsessed with the idea that he was innocent, and he's going to take Lois down. And there's a lot of story there, and I mean, if he can make Doomsday in Bruno Mannheim's abandoned little basement train station place, just imagine what this man can do with a 10 episode run where he's gunning after Superman and Lois.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how he knew. I don't know how he figured it out with the Bizarro thing that he'll become more powerful as he continues to kill him, other than just like the skin ripple effect. At first, I thought that was like a parasite is in him or something, but turned out to just getting him more and more powerful. We did see Otis did not die; he only lost his ear. So all those rest in peace Otis memes I've seen is can be
Yeah.
corrected. He was
Oh,
alive.
you can't kill Otis.
Was that so? That was that Mish Teschmacher that uh, the grandfather was dating Sam Lane.
I see. I think Tessmacher is usually a little younger.
Yeah, but isn't she usually related to Otis too, or is that yeah? Isn't she?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so. but she's usually younger.
Yeah. What? How did he introduce her? What was the name that he introduced for when Sam was dating her? Because that's not a real name, but I just curious. I forget what he said. Gretchen.
That
Gretchen
sounds
Kennedy.
like such a fake name.
Yeah, I would hope it's a fake name, or else she was very open, I guess. um, but yeah, so we have the most of these side characters get a lot of good wrap up. I think that I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, they're talking about this cliffhanger, and we're almost done the episode, and I felt like everything was getting wrapped up pretty nicely, and then we get the Bizarro fight. So I was very curious on, like, oh, where's this cliffhanger going to be? And then it came, and it was amazing. I really liked.
I
That.
thought it was I thought it was great. I will say that I think it was a good cliffhanger in the sense of you wrapped everything else up just in case. You really
Hmm.
tied a knot on everything because you can headcanon what happened on that moon
Yeah.
if it never comes back. You can headcanon that Superman continues um, being Superman. That doesn't have to stop for you. That's probably how the show's going to end, in what probably not in the middle of a fight, but that's probably how the show's going to end when it does end. So, everyone kind of had their things tied up. Other than Superman, Lois, and Lex, they had a story they had to progress, and you know what? They took their big shot, but I respect that they tied up dots with literally with Kyle and Chrissy and with Lana and with John Henry. Um, I thought they did a really good job of smattering all the characters in there and making sure everyone had their moment in the finale. And I really like what they're doing with the boys. I like what they're doing with Jordan. I thought this episode, when the grandfather says, hey, as a guy who's made a lot of mistakes, don't let that anger fester too much longer. I thought it was a more mature episode with Jordan than the last episode where they just kind of, like this little punk kid, and I thought this is a nice place to be with that. So I'm interested in this storyline. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of good things to go on, but all the continuing story threads: Superman, Doomsday, Lex, and Lois.
Yeah, I'm. Do you think they pick up right where they left off here, or they do this thing where like it skips ahead a bit, and then you have to kind of guess what happened as it flashes back and tells you later on, like, or do
I'm
you
gonna
think
be
we start and get right off into it?
I'm gonna be pissed if it's not get right on into it because I need the end of this fight. I need the end of this fight. I need to know how he wins because I'm literally sitting there on the sofa going, I don't know how this ends because
Yeah, he
you can
killed
just
him,
keep killing.
right? And it came back, so he didn't kill him because he
So
comes back.
I'm like, how far does he have to punch him into space? And then I was thinking, wait a second, how long can Clark be in space? That was another thing. I was like, I don't think he can unlimitedly breathe in space. So that's another thing to think about.
I think he can be in. I guess it depends on each one, right? I think he could probably be in space for as long as he wants, right?
I don't know. I feel like they go back and forth with this in Superman because,
Because I've seen him
like,
travel in space with just him flying, right?
yeah, that's true. I think I always took it as he's fast enough that he can get where he needs to go.
Mm.
But maybe I'm wrong. I need to read more Superman, I think.
Yeah, it can be pretty much, I think, whatever they want it to be, which is good, I guess. Yeah, I do wonder. I wonder. Part of me thinks that they just ended it here because they're like, we don't know how to stop him right now, so this will be it for
We
now.
have a whole couple months to
We got
figure
a
this
while
out.
to figure this out now
Yeah.
because
I
I mean, it is a tricky thing. You're gonna have to like fake science something that he either, like you said, he can get thrown into a phantom zone, or something stops him enough to be able to finally put him down. But yeah, I'm not really sure how he gets out of this.
Honestly, I think the only thing you can do is like take away the limbs and just leave him on the moon.
Mm,
Like if you take away the limbs, he ain't going anywhere.
that's true. Will he
I
grow him back though?
see if he dies, but what if he just stays there without dying?
True, true.
That's my idea. Um, it won't happen, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know unless
And
like
then you
something
could,
with the XK. But
and then you could open the thing with what's that weird shadow on the moon?
oh yeah,
Oh, you know what? Kryptonite would do the trick.
XK, not regular kryptonite.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because regular kryptonite makes them stronger.
damn.
Yeah, but Lex was shooting him with XK too, and it killed him and just brought him back. So again, they made it really at a point where they have. I have no clue how they can get out of this.
It's like, dude, I would love season 4, episode 1, time loop. They just keep coming up with things, time
Mm.
loop. Be like, Clark, how many times have you beaten this guy? 85.
He just keeps spinning the Earth back around like in Superman the movie.
And with the wild yell,
Yeah,
"Yeah!"
exactly. Yeah, well, I
I
need to see
mean,
the Tyler Hoechlin version of that.
you can't tell me Nicolas Cage would have that wild yelled out pat.
True. Yeah, so this was only 13 episodes compared to the previous seasons, which each had 15. Next season's going to have 10. Um, I think it's doable, obviously. We spent most of the season building to Mannheim and Onomatopoeia, and they were dealt with within maybe 10 or 11. So it is possible for them to still structure this with 10 episodes. And again, it hasn't been official that's the last season, but I really hope they decide this is the last season. I don't want, especially if they're going to do cliffhangers like this, I don't want cliffhangers like this next season. And then they get canceled because Nexstar doesn't want to pay the bill anymore. That's my biggest worry with the show going forward is
Agreed.
I don't want them to get too greedy. I mean, CW is just going to do whatever they want, right? So it makes me a little worried.
So I
Um,
think we're in a position this year where they kind of needed Superman and Lois because they have absolutely no goodwill towards them as a company, and this is a
right.
prestige show. Next year, they might say, you know what? We can take the bullet. We can just be done with it because we're losing money on this. There's only people will only lose money on something for so long.
True. True. Well, hopefully, with all the way that they just did with the changes to the budget and stuff, that this gets them um, more profitability on the show because they are going to have a reduced budget. So hopefully that is the catalyst for this being a very successful season, and maybe if they do want to risk it and go for a fifth, then they could if it's profitable. But I do worry that I just worry.
So what I would say is don't leave it on the cliffhanger. If you get another season, great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk
Because
about Jordan. Let's talk about Jordan then,
okay,
because I felt like we were very like good in our approach last week because some people were really saying like he's going to become evil and all this kind of stuff. He had a nice talk with his dad to apologize to Sarah. He did go and apologize to Sarah, and it's kind of the way I felt like this show was gonna was always gonna go. And I don't know where they go from here, but I do like. I kind of got his point when they're talking about flying a trip to Italy, and he says I can use my powers to take us to Italy, but I can't do them to save people. Like his goal is still to help people. His goal is still to save people. He's still Superman's son, by the way. Yes, he just is a little bit more. I wouldn't say fame hungry, but I mean, he was a kid that was bullied his whole life and in the shadow of his brother. So I'm sure he's liking the attention, but he'll grow out of that. He'll get over it. And, but I do think he had a good point about flying to Italy. I was kind of like, I kind of had the same thought when he asked about his powers. I was like, yeah, you're going to let him just fly you all over there, but you're not going to let him save people.
Yeah, the other thing I thought about is, all right, so who's getting taken by who? I guess Superman takes Lois and Jonathan is held by Jordan. It seems like such a risk. Like John, he could just drop Jonathan. Like, let's be honest. Like, if I was like his dad, I wouldn't be that comfortable with that. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's not like seasoned pro. I'm gonna carry you, like to like I don't know. It just
Yeah,
I that
he's carrying the brother, right? He's carrying Jonathan because Clark is obviously going to carry Lois. He's not going to let Jordan take Lois.
yeah, but like I would like as a parent would be like, he's gonna fucking drop my kid. He's gonna drop Jonathan. I'd be so nervous. Like to me, that would be like I don't know. Superman would just if I was Superman, I'd be stressed out either way. I'd just be stressed out.
If you're Superman, you just carry both and have Jordan fly himself, right?
Fair enough. I mean, really, just like
It's not going to be
carry the
comfortable,
car.
but it's going to be
So,
quick.
so just carry a car like he
Oh
does
yeah,
in
yeah,
All Star Superman.
yeah. There you go.
You
Easy.
know,
We got
fly
it.
the
We got it
car.
covered.
Yeah, okay. I just thought it was like the logistics. That doesn't sound comfortable for anybody. Like it just sounds
No, it
horrible.
doesn't.
Like I love in the comics when Batman has to get flown by Superman and he hates it. That's one of my favorite little gimmicks. I would
Yeah.
hate to be flown by somebody. Like it's always romantic when they do it with
When
Clark
you're
and Lois.
carrying them, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but like I can imagine that being incredibly unpleasant. It's like a roller coaster, people, with no seatbelt.
Yeah, we kind of see it in the Flash, right? When Barry carries Barry and he throws up, or when Barry carries Diggle in the TV show, right? And
And every
Lois
time he
makes him throw up.
barfs.
Yeah, and no, he's faster than Superman, obviously, but yeah, you see how quick this character busts in and out of walls in this show, and yeah, it'd probably be a little motion sickness there. I get motion sick on cruises, so I would assume I'm going to get motion sick if Superman is flying me around.
Yeah, I would almost need to be drugged to be flown around. I'd almost need to be drugged. I mean, I get nauseous reading in the car. So
Yeah,
like if
same.
I'm in the passenger seat, I can't read in the car. Like I don't know. But this is interesting. That was a weird little tangent. I don't know.
Well, there's not much to talk about, right? Like we covered a lot of the stuff. Is there anything that sticks out that we haven't talked about that you're thinking of? I mean, Coach Gaines
Yeah,
is a dick.
well, yeah, but we already kind of know that. Mateo and Nat in the Metropolis DoD thing that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's an interesting
right.
storyline, and that really makes sense for Nat. I mean, that would be great for her because let's be honest, she should be working with the DoD. She, what else is she gonna do? That's what she's good at.
That is true. Her dad is like, well, that's not, like you think you're gonna go there with Mateo. It's like it's not really about that, right? It's about also that she's just super smart and can do this stuff. That's a bonus, right? If she's going where her boyfriend is also able to go, that would be a nice bonus. I do wonder if, again, this all comes up with, and this is why it's so hard to speculate, is we already know so much about season 4 in the sense of some of these characters are going to be very sidelined or not coming back. And I do wonder then, does that mean Mateo? Is there a chance for him to come back, or will it just be references? Look, they can easily cut Sophie out, right? They're not worried about that. We barely see her anyway. But I do wonder, like with Natalie, who is seen as part of the family, right? I mean, like Sam got to know her better this year. He calls her his granddaughter because he is in another world, but for this Sam, it's not actually his granddaughter.
That was a little weird for me. It was a little too.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Okay.
I like that. He's buying in to it. Remember before he was just trying to convince her to go to this.
Yeah, they do have a
thing, and
connection.
she just wanted to get to know her grandfather in this world. So I do like that he's kind of opened himself up to that. But again, we don't think Dylan Walsh is coming back, so
honestly,
that may not matter.
This show's gonna lose something without him. He's a character that's really. I love his connection with Clark. I think it's almost weird how well he gets along with Clark. In like season 1, it was like the end of the world that they were talking to each other, and like it's just him and Clark just have this really good relationship. I think they're gonna lose something there. They gotta have if you're not gonna have Kyle as much, or you're not gonna have John Henry. You need someone to bounce off Clark other than Lois. That's my big concern. I did find it funny with when we were talking about Sophie, is Sarah was like the second Sophie opened her mouth, shut up. Like
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk. You shouldn't even be on this show. They really wish they had just given you one Cushing daughter. And they screwed up, so
Yeah, this time I think they're going to I don't know. I think there'll be a lot more when they're giving people other kids in the show. I think they'll be a little bit more selective going forward. Because it was a good idea. They're like, oh well, some family have
2
two
and
kids,
2.
but yeah, I mean they barely use her, right? And then she was supposed to be so young, and she's growing so fast. She's like taller than Sarah now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of
Well,
it too. They're like probably like,
mm-hmm.
well, when she's struggling with math, basic math, and she's like 7 feet tall, you're like, okay, maybe this is a little weird.
Yeah, Sophie's a weird thing. I will tell you one thing that season 10 is not going to have is the whole scene where Jonathan talks to Sophie about being comfortable with like her situation and her parents and stuff. That kind of stuff is getting out of there. I don't think. I think we need to focus on not losing the heart when you trim down the cast and you trim down the interactions that these characters can have, because the heart, yeah, it's a family show, but a lot of the characters outside of the Kent family are really important to the story.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why like a lot of people are hitting the panic button. I am very sure that they are going to make deals to have these characters in a recurring status. And like I said before, you're probably just going to get them broken up throughout the season, where maybe you have the first season is covering some Lana stuff with Sarah and Jordan, and then the second episode is more about John and Nat with other characters, and like the third one is focusing more on Kyle and Chrissy as background characters. So it doesn't feel like you're missing out on anything because each episode is focusing on a different group, and it'll just be different. You're not going to see all of these characters every episode unless if they can really just make a good deal with them about recurring and say, hey, you're still going to get paid. It's just going to be for less money. And we want you all 10 though, so that way you get all this money. But,
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to be recurring instead of a series regular, which they did have a lot of regulars. I think they had like an insane amount. How many they have? 1, 2, 3, 4,
I
5,
think it was
6,
like
7, 8,
9.
9, 10, 11, 12. They have 12 series regulars, which is pretty big.
Well, that's the advantage of Smallville.
That's more than like Flash and stuff.
Yeah, well, Flash actually, but it shows you the difference between writing though, because we're like trying to preserve characters. Out of the Flash, it was like, can some of these characters just go away?
Yeah.
I know we're not doing the Arrowverse
We're not doing the
update,
Arrowverse update.
but
We're skipping that this week. Plus, I haven't been able to have a chance to actually watch a lot of it because of my vacation and stuff. So, still kind of easing into back to normal life and all that. So, I did watch some Legends and Flash, though, of course, but lagging behind on Supergirl and Batwoman right now. So,
I mean, I
maybe
don't
next week.
blame you. I honestly don't blame you. I only watched season 1 of Batwoman, and Supergirl is just, it's up to really good. It's down. It's just, it's hard.
Well, at least I'm on the last season. I haven't started it yet. But I'm about halfway through Flash season 7. So I'll probably finish that up sometime soon. And then Legends, I'm still in like the first quarter of the season 6.
That's a fun season.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying it right now. I really am. We'll talk more in depth why, I guess,
Yeah,
next
of
week.
course,
But
yeah.
yeah. Anything else about the season 3 finale of Superman and Lois or the season as a whole that you wanted to kind of speak on before we wrap it up?
I think we covered it. I don't want to beat a dead horse too much. I just love the show, and I think Tyler Hoechlin getting a 4th season has a chance to go down as one of the best, if not the best, Superman, and that's an exciting thing.
The ratings were the highest they've been since the premiere this week. So
Whoa.
yeah, I guess more people have caught up and they all decided to watch the finale around the same time. So that's good. But yeah, so I do wonder now, like we said with the lower budget, just how much we get of this fight scene against Bizarro Doomsday now. But
Well, that's the problem. Like, if you get a great first episode where Doomsday and Superman go at it, you're like, okay, so the next 3 episodes, there's going to be a half fight scene.
yeah. Well, you know what though? I think this show does it the best out of all of them when we talk about episodes where he's not Superman. There are times where I can watch the show and I won't even realize he didn't suit up in one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's focused so much more on the family dynamic. When you watch The Flash and the Flash is not the Flash in it, you're more like, what? Where was the Flash? But that's also because that show had built itself around like every episode you're going to see this guy using his powers. So when they take away his powers in that show a few times, you're like, huh. Or if Barry just doesn't show up because he's filming a crisis, you're like, oh, this is obviously there's no Barry here. But in this show, Clark could go probably, like you said, the premiere, and then you could have him just have in the suit face-offs with Lex where they're just talking, and I'll be riveted.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best Superman Lex Luthor stuff is just them talking to each other and their opposing viewpoints on the world and how they see things and how they both have contempt for each other. Superman obviously despises Lex Luthor and thinks he's a waste of intelligence and money and power, and Luthor sees Superman as, oh God, you could be a god, and this is what you're doing. Can you imagine what I would do with your powers? So, that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Too bad we have a long wait. Like we said, writer strike is still going on, and then all of the Screen Actors Guild people are saying they might strike if they don't get a deal. And if that happens, then everything is shutting down.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Disney Warner, all these companies have to understand that we don't care about David Zaslav and Kevin Feige and Chopek, and we don't care about these people. We care about the writers. We care about the talent. We care about the product. We're in this for the story. We're in this for the entertainment. So we're going to side with the people who give us the joy in this world, not the people who decide they can give us the joy. So, yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, they'll quickly. That's why I don't think they'll let the screen actors strike at least because they know they need content, right? This is what really shocks me so much about the strike as a whole is I was really sure for even for the Writers Guild that they would solve it quickly because they just went so many years without content for COVID,
Hmm.
where that delayed stuff, or they had it and they were just sitting on it but couldn't do anything with it because theaters were closed and all that kind of stuff. And now it's like you're finally just getting back out of it, right? Like we're finally getting back out of it. The national emergency is stopped and all that kind of stuff. And we're right back into being in a content issue if you can't figure out the Writers Guild
Well,
strike.
it's all about streaming right now. It's all about
Hmm.
residuals and streaming, and that they're playing games with how many episodes air, uh, how they air them, so they don't how they credit people, so they don't have to pay them. The companies are corporate. We're talking about a especially with Warner Brothers. We're talking about a company that can make a massive budget movie in the Flash, have a Super Bowl halftime advertisement for it, not even make that much money, and still have the right to keep making movies. So, like, after it doesn't do well. So, like, we're talking about mega corporations here. Just pay your people what they're worth. It's not complicated for me, but it's complicated for corporate America.
Yeah, it seems that way, huh?
Yeah, it does. All these billionaires love their money, but I swear, it's just like, what do you
I mean,
even do with it?
yeah, you know what? Yeah, they even take their sports teams away if they think they can get just a little bit more money somewhere else. Or, I mean,
Cough,
it
cough,
really is.
Ursa.
Yeah, cough, cough, athletics as well. Um, just awful how we just let them run whatever they want. We don't really have that much power, I guess, but depressing at times. But yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, we don't watch the show to be like, oh, this is a Bob Iger production. We watch it for the whatever we're sitting down to watch, right?
Hmm.
Which is usually the actor portraying a character that was written by somebody in the Writers Guild or performed by somebody in the Screen Actors Guild. So
Hmm.
those are. It's going to be a long time if the Screen Actors strike. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
that'll get it maybe it'll get it done quicker for all of these things, but
yeah, but that's a big risk, and no one's going to Comic Con with
right,
the
right.
axe of Zaslav as their costume.
Nobody's going to Comic Con. I mean, WB might, but what we heard so far is that
Hmm. Comic
Disney's
Con
not
seems
going.
dead, which is actually great for the independent comic publishers. That's actually really good for them.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe like people have been saying, maybe they can actually spend it to talking about comics,
Oh, no way.
which is
No
what
way.
Comic
Comic
Con
Con
stands
talks about
for.
comics? No. No. No, 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 no.
Oh, they
That would
used
be
to. They
outrageous.
don't as
I
much
know, I
now.
know. Well, now it's all about, okay, where's the big Hall H presentation?
Yep. And apparently, most companies are staying away. I would assume maybe DC does, but again, if we have a Screen Actor strike too, none of the screen actors are going to go promote a movie at Comic Con. So it's all
Hmm.
up in the air on what some of this stuff will do to the industry as a whole. And what you'll end up doing is you're going to have this is where I don't think people realize Well, maybe they do because they don't care. But I was thinking like this is going to push people to older content, and people are just going to binge stuff that they already know they like, which means that you're going to be paying out residuals anyway. But the thing is, they don't want to pay out more residuals, so they might be okay with paying the amount that they're paying right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a sick game. It's just, I am a firm believer of once you have a certain amount of money, what are you even doing with
Oh yeah, I mean, not to devolve into this, but when we were talking about what's Lamar Jackson or any of the sports players, I'm like at a certain point, you're you're arguing over like maybe 20 mil that you're probably never going to spend because you have 225 million or like baseball players that are fully guaranteed and they get 300 million and they sometimes won't sign unless they're the highest in their position per annual average. I'm like, what's it matter other than ego? And that's the thing is that it's mainly ego for a lot of these billionaires and stuff as well. They say, I'm the one running this thing. I get the most money, but without all that stuff, we're not giving you money, right? Like
well,
we wouldn't be watching this stuff if it wasn't for the people that are writing it and acting in it.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting time to be a billionaire right now because you just saw the Titanic submersible situation have reactions that 10 to 15 years ago nobody would think would be palatable, but right now it's like it felt very much like a let them eat cake moment. It's like, these guys want to go down there and watch that Titanic on a screen in a little pressurized bubble. Okay, you know, and then, they fight against regulations because they want to do their own thing. And then because they fought against the regulations, they weren't safe. And then we have to spend the Coast Guard's money and the Canada has to spend money. And what a mess. What an absolute mess. It's just an interesting time to be a billionaire. And the lack of compassion we saw for that hopefully opens their eyes to like, hey, let's make the world a better place
I've
with
never
the
seen
money that
more
we have.
memes in my life about a
No.
tragedy. Like it was I was look, I don't agree with a lot of that stuff because I think all human life can be
Oh, it was
valuable.
sad. It wasn't
It
like I
was
was rooting
yeah.
for them to
No, no,
die.
no, no, I get it. But yeah, some people were, and some people were making some really memes that were terrible. Some of them were funny though. I did laugh at a couple,
Hey,
but
look,
I felt bad.
look. All I got to say is I had a hard time caring, and that gave me pause and made me think about things and be reflective. But I had a hard time caring that because it's just all I heard was that song on TikTok, "Dumb ways to die." So many dumb ways to die. Like it's just so silly.
Yeah.
It's just you want to go watch that Titanic on a screen. I can do that in Finksburg, Maryland. I don't need to do that underwater at the risk of my life, and I don't
Yeah.
need to spend $250,000 on it.
Yeah, that's insane too, how much they were charging. But for them, it's like $15. So that's
But
that's
that's
the
the
worst part.
entire
Yes,
problem.
exactly, exactly. All right. Well, we're not a podcast about economics, so we'll start wrapping it up here. I am currently doing the Secret Invasion recaps over on our sister show to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, which is the MCU fan podcast, and you can catch that with my friend Casey McGeorge and I, who we're watching Secret Invasion every single week. The first episode is up of that now. We'll be recording the second one this weekend, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the show here. I really did enjoy that first episode. So you can catch that. It's called To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. And here, I'm not sure what is next yet. We're going to get together and figure out what episode we're going to talk about next when it comes to certain things. And the schedule might change a bit due to Chris's school schedule, but we'll still be uploading these as soon as I can get them turned around. But we're not going anywhere, so there's that. I think that's all the stuff I have to plug.
Mm-hmm.
But you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now, Facebook, YouTube at Elseworlds DC Fan at all of those places. Thank you all for watching and listening. We will catch you next time.